Welcome to our channel, brave souls. Today, we're diving into the shadowy depths of real-life exorcisms. We're talking about the kind of stuff that keeps you up at night, the stuff that makes you double-check your locks and sleep with the lights on. These stories are not for the faint of heart. We're talking about real accounts of demonic possession, the kind of thing that Hollywood tries to recreate but can never truly capture. We're going to explore the bone-chilling rituals, the desperate pleas for help, and the terrifying power struggles between good and evil. So if you're ready to confront the unknown, if you think you can handle the truth that lurks in the shadows, then buckle up, hit that subscribe button, and join us as we journey into the heart of darkness with 5 real-life exorcism stories. You've been warned. Our first story takes us to 1960s Germany, where a young woman named Anneliese Michel became the focus of one of the most controversial exorcism cases in history. Imagine being a teenager, dealing with the usual pressures of school and friends, and then suddenly, your world is turned upside down by something sinister, something you can't explain. It started subtly for Anneliese, with strange smells and disturbing visions. But things escalated quickly. She began hearing voices, whispering dark secrets, taunting her, tormenting her. These weren't just fleeting thoughts. These voices were relentless, driving her to the brink of madness. Anneliese's behavior became increasingly erratic. She would lash out violently, contort her body in unnatural positions, growl at people in different voices, voices that weren't her own. Her family, devout Catholics, believed she was possessed by a demonic force. Doctors diagnosed Anneliese with epilepsy and prescribed medication, but nothing seemed to work. The voices persisted, the torment continued. Desperate, the family turned to the church. They were convinced that this was beyond the realm of medicine, that this was a battle for Anneliese's soul. After much deliberation, the local bishop authorized an exorcism. 2 priests were appointed to perform the ritual, a grueling process that lasted for months. They documented everything, recording hours of audio tapes of the exorcism sessions. Anneliese's voice changes, morphing into something guttural and menacing. She speaks in tongues, hisses at the priests, and even claims to be possessed by multiple demonic entities. Despite the priest's efforts, Anneliese's condition worsened. Tragically, after nearly a year of exorcisms, Anneliese Michel died. Her death sparked a media frenzy and ignited a debate that rages on to this day. Was she truly possessed, or was she a victim of a misdiagnosed mental illness? Hold on to your hats, folks, because our next story takes us deep into the heart of what many consider to be the most credible case of demonic possession ever recorded. This is the story of Roland Doe, a pseudonym used to protect the identity of a young boy who endured unimaginable horrors back in the 1940s. This case is so disturbing, so deeply unsettling, that it actually served as the inspiration for the iconic horror film, The Exorcist. But unlike Hollywood's version, Roland's story is all too real. It all started with a seemingly innocent fascination with the Ouija board. Roland, a 14-year-old living in Maryland, became intrigued by the board after the death of a beloved aunt. He dabbled in it, perhaps hoping to contact her on the other side. But what he unwittingly did was open a door, a portal to something dark and sinister, something that latched onto him with terrifying force. At first, there were strange noises in the house, scratching sounds, objects moving inexplicably. Then things took a turn for the worse. Roland's personality underwent a chilling transformation. He became withdrawn, irritable, and prone to violent outbursts. His speech became garbled, punctuated by guttural growls and blasphemous language. The family, devout Catholics, watched in horror as their once loving boy transformed into something unrecognizable. Priests were called in, and they witnessed firsthand the terrifying reality of Roland's condition. Scratches and welts appeared on his body, forming words like hell and evil. He would speak in Latin, a language he'd never learned, and even levitate off the ground. Desperate for help, the family sought the assistance of Father Edward Hughes, a Jesuit priest who had experience dealing with the demonic. Father Hughes, convinced that Roland was indeed possessed, sought permission from the Catholic Church to perform an exorcism. Our next story takes us from the shadowy corners of Maryland to the bustling heart of Los Angeles, where a young woman's terrifying ordeal within the walls of a hospital would become the stuff of medical nightmares. This is the story of Julia, a pseudonym given to protect her identity, and the chilling events that unfolded in Room 6. Julia was a patient at LA County General Hospital, a sprawling complex known for treating the city's most vulnerable. She was admitted for a routine procedure, a seemingly mundane event that would soon spiral into a terrifying fight for her sanity. It started subtly, with whispers and strange occurrences in room 6. Nurses reported hearing disembodied voices and witnessing objects moving on their own, but when Julia became the room's newest occupant, the activity intensified tenfold. Julia, a woman of science and logic, initially dismissed the strange happenings as hallucinations, side effects of her medication. But as the days turned into nights, the line between reality and nightmare blurred. She began experiencing vivid nightmares, waking up in a cold sweat, her heart pounding in her chest. The room would grow icy cold despite the California sun blazing outside. And then, there were the voices. They whispered her name, taunting her, threatening her. They told her she wouldn't leave room 6 alive. Julia's behavior became increasingly erratic. She would scream at unseen entities, thrashing about in her bed as if trying to fight off invisible attackers. Hospital staff, initially skeptical, began to witness these unsettling events firsthand. One nurse, a seasoned professional who had seen her fair share of medical emergencies, described entering room 6 to find Julia levitating several inches off the bed, her body contorted in an unnatural position. Another staff member swore he saw a shadowy figure lurking in the corner of the room, its eyes glowing red in the dim light. Word spread throughout the hospital about the strange happenings in room 6. Some whispered about a curse, others about a malevolent presence that refused to leave. Doctors, baffled by Julia's deteriorating condition, ordered a battery of tests, but the results came back inconclusive. There was no medical explanation for what she was experiencing. Desperate for answers, the hospital chaplain was called in. He entered room 6, armed with his faith and a heavy heart. As he approached Julia's bed, he felt a cold shiver run down his spine. The air grew thick with a palpable sense of dread. The chaplain began to pray, his voice echoing through the sterile room. And that's when it happened. Buckle up, buttercups, because our next story takes us to the quaint town of Ossett, England, where a seemingly ordinary man became the focal point of a demonic showdown. This is the story of Michael Taylor, a mild-mannered chap entangled in intense paranormal activity. Michael was a church-going man, known for his quiet demeanor and unwavering faith, but beneath the surface something dark was brewing. It started with nightmares, vivid and disturbing dreams. Then came the mood swings, sudden bursts of anger. His wife Christine confided in their church's vicar, Father Peter Vincent. Initially dismissive, Father Vincent was convinced by Christine's desperation. He visited Michael feeling a palpable sense of unease. Michael was unrecognizable, his eyes hollow, his face contorted. Convinced of evil, Father Vincent rallied the church elders. They gathered for a night of fervent prayer, but the entity within Michael was powerful, shaking the house. Michael's body contorted in unnatural positions. Sensing danger, Father Vincent made a desperate gamble to save Michael's soul. Hold on to your hats, folks, because our final story takes us on a wild ride through the American legal system, where the lines between demonic possession and criminal insanity become terrifyingly blurred. This is the case of Arnie Cheyenne Johnson, a man who claimed the devil made him do it, and the trial that shook the very foundations of our justice system. Picture this. Connecticut, 1981. Arnie Johnson, a young man in love, finds himself at the center of a horrifying ordeal. His girlfriend's younger brother, David, starts exhibiting increasingly disturbing behavior, claiming to be tormented by an unseen force. David's family, fearing for his sanity and safety, calls in a series of paranormal investigators and even a few self-proclaimed demonologists. The house, they claim, is a hotbed of paranormal activity, a playground for unseen entities with sinister intentions. Exorcisms are performed, rituals are conducted, and the air crackles with a palpable sense of dread. During one particularly intense exorcism, Arnie Johnson, in a moment of reckless bravado, challenges the demonic entity to possess him instead. "Take me! Leave him alone!" he shouts, his voice echoing through the house, and just like that, everything changes. Arnie's behavior takes a dark turn. He becomes withdrawn, prone to violent outbursts, his eyes flickering with an unsettling intensity. He speaks in a raspy voice, uttering blasphemies and threats that chill the blood. Well, there you have it, folks. 5 real-life exorcism stories that will make you sleep with the lights on and question everything you thought you knew about the world. We've journeyed into the darkest corners of the human experience, exploring the chilling intersection of faith, fear, and the unknown. We've heard tales of demonic possession, witnessed the struggles of those tormented by unseen forces, and grappled with the question of whether these events are the result of genuine supernatural phenomena or the product of troubled minds. Whatever your beliefs, one thing is certain: these stories stay with you. They linger in the back of your mind, a chilling reminder that the world is a stranger, more terrifying place than we often care to admit. So the next time you're feeling brave, turn off the lights, settle in, and remember, sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that are true.